Some people seem to radiate happiness well into their 60s, 70s, and beyond, while others become increasingly bitter and unhappy. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and what I've discovered might surprise you. The difference between those who thrive and those who struggle isn't what you might expect. It's not about money, it's not about health, and it's certainly not about luck. The real difference comes down to something much more fundamental, something you can control starting today. Before I reveal what this is, let me ask you, have you noticed how some of your friends or family members seem to have gotten happier with age, while others have gone in the opposite direction? There's a reason for this split, and understanding it could completely transform how you experience the coming years of your life. I promise that by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why some people flourish after 60 while others. And more importantly, you'll know which path you're currently on and how to make sure you're heading toward greater happiness, not away from it. What I'm about to share with you isn't complicated. It doesn't require special skills or resources, but it does require something that not everyone is willing to give, a genuine commitment to changing how you think. You see, after turning 60, I started paying close attention to the people around me. I wanted to understand why aging seemed to be such a different experience for different people. What I found was fascinating, and it's something I wish someone had told me decades ago. The truth is, happiness after 60 isn't random. It follows patterns. Clear patterns that anyone can recognize once they know what to look for, and that's exactly what we're going to explore today. So what actually separates the happiest older adults from those who struggle with dissatisfaction? It all begins with understanding that happiness at this stage of life requires a different approach than what might have worked in your younger years. The first major difference I've noticed is how happy people handle change. Life after 60 brings plenty of change, retirement, shifts in health, evolving family dynamics, and sometimes loss. The people who stay happy don't fight these changes, they adapt to them. Think about it. How do you respond when something in your routine gets disrupted? Do you resist it with everything you've got? Do you complain about how things used to be better? Or do you look for ways to adjust and find joy in new circumstances? The happiest people I know have developed what I call adaptive resilience. They don't waste energy fighting against inevitable changes. Instead, they ask themselves, how can I make the most of this new situation? That simple shift in thinking makes an enormous difference. I remember when I first started to notice my energy levels changing. At first, I tried to power through like I always had, pushing myself to maintain the same pace I'd kept in my 40s and 50s. All that did was leave me exhausted and frustrated. The turning point came when I stopped fighting against my new reality and started working with it instead. I began scheduling my most important activities during my peak energy hours. I incorporated short rest periods throughout my day. And you know what? I actually accomplished more than when I was trying to maintain my old schedule. More importantly, I felt better doing it. This leads me to the second key difference. Happy people after 60 focus on what they can do, not on what they can't. This might sound simple, but it's surprisingly difficult to put into practice. When you've spent decades being able to do certain things, it's natural to feel frustrated when those abilities change. But dwelling on what you've lost is a direct path to unhappiness. The alternative is to continuously discover and develop new capabilities. Have you caught yourself saying things like, I used to be able to, or I can't do that anymore because? If so, you're not alone. But these statements keep you stuck in the past rather than engaged with the present. Try this instead. Whenever you notice yourself focusing on limitations, immediately ask, what can I do now? This simple question redirects your attention to possibilities rather than constraints. And possibilities are where happiness lives. The third difference, and this one might be the most important, is that happy people after 60 maintain strong social connections. They make building and nurturing relationships a priority. Did you know that social isolation can be as damaging to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day? It's true. Yet so many people allow their social circles to shrink as they age, often without realizing it's happening. The happiest older adults I know actively work to expand their social connections, not reduce them. They join classes, volunteer, participate in community events, and make a point of regularly connecting with friends and family. If you're watching this right now and realizing that your social circle has been shrinking, don't worry. This is something you can change starting today. Even small steps like calling an old friend, joining a local club, or volunteering once a week can make a tremendous difference. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one small step you could take this week to strengthen your social connections? Sharing your intention makes it more likely that you'll follow through, and you might inspire others who are watching too. Now, let's talk about the fourth key difference: purposeful activity. The happiest people after 60 have found ways to feel needed and valuable. They've discovered activities that give their days meaning and direction. This doesn't have to be anything grand or impressive. It just needs to matter to you. Maybe it's helping your grandchildren learn new skills. Maybe it's tending a garden that adds beauty to your neighborhood. Or maybe it's using your lifetime of experience to mentor others. The specific activity isn't what's important. What matters is that you feel it has value. Without this sense of purpose, days can start to feel empty and meaningless. With it, even ordinary tasks take on a special significance. Ask yourself, what activities make you lose track of time? What do you do that makes you feel most like yourself? These questions can lead you toward your own sources of purpose and meaning. The fifth difference is about attitude toward learning. Happy people after 60 maintain an active curiosity about the world. They're constantly learning new things, developing new skills, and exploring new ideas. Think about it. Your brain craves novelty and challenge. Without these things, it begins to slow down and lose capacity. But when you regularly tackle new challenges and absorb new information, your mind stays sharp and engaged. This doesn't mean you need to enroll in college courses or learn quantum physics, though you certainly could if that interests you. It might mean finally learning to play that instrument you've always been curious about, or mastering a new technology, or exploring a subject you've always found fascinating but never had time to study. The point is to keep stretching your mind in new directions. This not only maintains your cognitive abilities, but also provides a reliable source of satisfaction and accomplishment. The sixth difference involves expectations. Happy people after 60 have realistic expectations about aging. They understand that some things will change, and they don't fight against these natural processes. At the same time, they reject limiting stereotypes about what older adults can or should do. They don't let societal expectations dictate their choices or activities. This balance, accepting natural changes while refusing to be limited by stereotypes, allows them to navigate aging with grace and confidence. How do your expectations about aging affect your happiness? Do you anticipate that your later years will be a time of decline and limitation? Or do you see them as an opportunity for new forms of growth and fulfillment? Your expectations shape your reality more than you might realize. If you expect these years to be miserable, you'll likely find plenty of evidence to support that view. But if you expect them to be rich with new possibilities, you'll find evidence for that instead. The seventh key difference is how people handle regret. We all have regrets, things we wish we'd done differently, opportunities we missed, mistakes we made. But happy people after 60 have learned how to make peace with these regrets rather than being consumed by them. They practice what I call constructive reflection. They acknowledge past mistakes, extract whatever lessons those experiences offer, and then redirect their attention to the present and future. Unhappy people, by contrast, often ruminate endlessly on past disappointments. They replay old scenarios in their minds, wishing things had gone differently, but never moving toward acceptance. If you find yourself caught in cycles of regret, try this approach. Acknowledge the feeling, identify any lesson you can take from the experience, and then deliberately shift your focus to something you can influence right now. This simple practice can free you from the trap of living in the past. The eighth difference is about control. Happy people after 60 are very clear about what they can and cannot control. They focus their energy on the things within their influence and practice acceptance for the rest. This might sound obvious, but it's surprisingly difficult to implement. We humans have a tendency to waste enormous amounts of energy trying to control things beyond our reach, other people's opinions, unexpected events, the passage of time itself. The happiest older adults I know have developed the wisdom to recognize when something is beyond their control. Instead of fighting these realities, they ask themselves, given that this is the situation, how can I respond in a way that serves my well-being? This shift, from trying to control external circumstances to focusing on your response to those circumstances, is tremendously liberating. It puts you back in charge of your experience, regardless of what's happening around you. The ninth key difference involves gratitude. Happy people after 60 have developed the habit of noticing and appreciating what's good in their lives. They don't take simple pleasures for granted. When was the last time you paused to really savor your morning coffee, or truly appreciated the comfort of your bed, or felt genuine gratitude for the functioning of your body, even with its imperfections? Developing a gratitude practice doesn't mean ignoring life's challenges. It simply means balancing your awareness of difficulties with conscious attention to life's gifts. This balance prevents you from becoming fixated on problems to the exclusion of everything else. Try this. Each evening, identify 3 specific things from your day that you appreciated. They don't need to be extraordinary. In fact, recognizing the value in ordinary moments is exactly the point. This simple practice, done consistently, can dramatically shift your perspective over time. The 10th and final difference I've observed is that happy people after 60 have learned to prioritize peace over drama. They've recognized that much of the conflict and upset in life is ultimately meaningless, and they choose not to engage with it. This doesn't mean they avoid addressing real problems or standing up for important values, but they've developed the wisdom to distinguish between issues that matter and those that don't. They don't get pulled into petty arguments or office politics. They don't spend hours watching upsetting news that they can't influence. They don't try to control how other adults live their lives. Instead, they focus on creating environments of harmony and mutual respect. They address conflicts directly when necessary, but don't amplify them through gossip or prolonged resentment. They choose their battles wisely. This approach conserves precious energy and creates space for more meaningful pursuits. It leads to relationships characterized by understanding rather than constant tension, and it allows for a level of inner peace that simply isn't possible when you're continually engaged in unnecessary conflict. I want to emphasize something important. None of these differences are fixed traits that you either have or don't have. They're patterns of thinking and behaving that anyone can develop with practice and intention. If you recognize that you've been falling into some of the patterns that lead to unhappiness, don't be discouraged. Awareness is the first step toward change. Now that you understand these differences, you can begin shifting toward the patterns that support happiness. Start small, notice when you're falling into old patterns, and gently redirect yourself toward new ones. Celebrate your progress, even when it feels minor. Over time, these small shifts will create major changes in your experience. Remember that happiness after 60 isn't a matter of luck. It's the natural result of choices you make each day. How you think about your circumstances, how you respond to challenges, how you connect with others, and how you direct your attention. The truth about why some people stay happy after 60 while others don't comes down to these choices. The happiest older adults have recognized that while they can't control every circumstance in their lives, they have tremendous power over how they experience and respond to those circumstances. You have this same power. Starting right now, you can begin making choices that lead toward greater happiness, regardless of your current situation. Before we end, I'd like to hear from you. Which of these differences resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If you found value in this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to this channel for more content on creating a fulfilling life at every age. And I am waiting for you in the next video here on your screen.